Welcome to Legacy Elevated. We are here to equip, empower, and inspire the next generation through business and community leaders. Legacy Elevated will revolutionize your business beyond the P&L to further shape your identity as a company and your evolution as a brand. Legacy Elevated focuses on global impact you can have by being hyper-local in charity and community while living with your future legacy in mind.
At the Nellis Group, we've been fortunate to really have book club be a part of our culture. And we're joined with Venus, who's been part of our culture for over 5 years now. Venus, you came from another industry into real estate, into the Nellis Group. Were you accustomed to a book club?
No, I've actually never in my career worked anywhere that really took the time to add to your personal growth in the way of actually having a book club or anything outside of the normal just training.
Now, I know you came from management. You're in management at the Nellis Group. Explain how book club can really accompany what you do as a manager.
Yeah, I think, time spent equals loyalty served. And as you spend time with your employees that are W-2 as well as your agents, they really grow. And we've really taken the time to choose books that are not only increasing their business, but their personal life as well. So I think that it definitely creates a environment where you're definitely going to have long-term commitment for, your employees as well as your agents.
I love that. Time spent equals loyalty. So what does that look like with books? So as we're placing the emphasis on it, if you think back through all the books that you've read with our company and with our agents and staff, which ones come to mind? Maybe we can talk about the top 3 from your perspective.
Yeah, so I think there's a mixture, right? So some of the ones that were my top 3 for sure. Fanatical Prospecting is probably one of the best sales books I've ever read. And anytime we've really seen our agents falter or doubt themselves of what they should be doing next to increase their production, it's a great way to, as a team, refocus our efforts. At the same time, I really also loved the love languages because it allowed me as a manager to know the right way to motivate our employees and our agents to make sure everyone is engaged and truly understand what is motivating them, what is their why, and how can we increase that. And I think my last, and definitely not least, but the one word is phenomenal for me. I think that in my personal life and with our agents and our staff, creating a one word has really helped me understand their vision of what they want to do and what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, let's talk about the last 2 you just mentioned, especially if someone's listening to this and they're the owner of a company or they're managing people right now. The book you mentioned was The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Explain what that looks like. Can I put you on the spot? What are the 5? And give me an example of how you've used that in management over the last year.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, there are acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation. I'm thinking of the
gifts.
Yes, gifts and
quality time.
There you go. I'm so glad you're here. Most importantly, as a manager, it's understanding what motivates people. I always use the example that I had an employee for a very long time who was phenomenal. I had trained her, and it was in another industry, and I just couldn't get it to click. No matter what I did, and my motivation is really gifts and quality time. And so I was spending so much time with her, and I was spending all of these great competitions to win a prize or win money, and nothing was happening. And I really realized after reading that book that her love language is word of affirmation. And so I, wrote her a thank you card, which was truly everything that I had noticed in her growth and how she had learned. And she went back in, and for the next 3 months, she mopped the competition and was phenomenal. And it was really my kind of aha moment of you got to figure it out. You got to figure out what it is that actually motivates them. And not everybody is motivated by the same things you are. And then just on a personal, my husband and I have different love languages. And so for me, it doesn't really help to buy gifts when quality time is more important to him. So it definitely helps me, and I think I've watched it help the employees that I've managed in the past improve their life across the board, not just in business. And that's really how you retain employees for long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the challenge and kind of the thesis of the book, right? That you give love the way you want to receive love. And the challenge is if you're a manager, or even if you're talking about your household and you're a different love language than what they are, then there's going to be that disconnect. And so you really got to dig down and find out, what is it for them? I remember this is before your time that I thought, man, I'm the greatest owner ever. Why? Because I provide free lunch and I do this, this, and this. And we broke it down with the 5 love languages for everybody that worked for us at that time. And we realized nobody cared about the lunch. As a matter of fact, they brought their lunch. And when we offered lunch, they said, no, I'm okay. And the majority of them were words of affirmation. And so that sent off bells to me, and we kind of changed how we did things. Let's jump into the third book that you mentioned. How has that changed what you do and how you manage?
So the one word is really critical for me in a couple ways. Number one, you understand their love language and how you can help them know they're appreciated. But the one word really gives me insight to what their goals are across the board holistically. And so how do I manage them and get them to where they want to go? Because no one is going to perform at a high level if they don't feel fulfilled across the board. And you can really look at it as like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If they're not getting their base needs taken care of, you're not going to see them at a higher level of performance. And so once a year, sitting down, being vulnerable, sharing that one word, creating a map for them, for their quarter, for their year, really allows me to give it a personal touch that I think is critical for a management style.
Yeah, and we do a fun ranking within our real estate company at the Nellis Group of a 1 to 10 on their word, whether weekly or monthly. Can you describe how that works?
We really take the time and have the one word. And what we ask them is, okay, your one word for 2019 was love. What area did you perform at a high level, 1 to 10? And if it's over 8, tell us how it went. Tell us a story about it. What was it about this week that was a win? And it really allows each of them to, on a weekly basis, reflect back and say, okay, wow, yeah, I really did live this word out. Or, you know what, I really didn't. And so I'm going to refocus right now that this is my word and this is how I want to win for the week coming up.
Yeah, for those that haven't read it, it's The One Word by Dan Britton, and it compares the 6 disciplines within your life, which is spiritual, physical, emotional, relational, mental, and financial. So check it out if you haven't yet. And one of the things we love within our real estate company is choosing books that are both what we say for the soul and for life all at the same time. I'm excited today to have with us Bruno Campos, who's been with us for just over 6 years. And we want to talk a little bit about book club and what it's meant to you and kind of your experience with it. So when you came in, did you ever have to do this before in your other industries you worked in?
No. Book club was a new fun thing at the Nellis Group. It's not something I had to do before I got into real estate.
Well, and I like where you almost use air quotes as fun. It's a requirement, right? It's a mandated part of our culture because we really want to develop someone in what we call the 4 pillars, which is business, wealth, health, and personal growth. And the book club really focuses on that personal growth. So we spend time with business books as well as life books. And we'll put Bruno on the spot here. Bruno, over the last 6 years, maybe we'll talk about 2 or 3 books that you've experienced that has shaped or redefined how you approach business or life.
Oh man, well let me go back to the beginning. Really, I'll start. No, I'm just kidding. The books that I've really liked, one that always comes to the top is Fanatical Prospecting, and that's one that I've always loved in the sense that it just every time you read it. And I've read it several times now over the past 6 years. Not all mandated. Some of it I did on my own. But it just puts you in that frame of mind to just understand that you've always got to be speaking with people. I mean, that's what we have to do. I mean, that's what real estate is. Real estate is, serving the clients that we work with, but then also just meeting new people and how can we serve more and more people and meet more and more people. And so it's having those conversations. So knowing that you always have to have the conversations to meet new people.
Yeah, and Fanatical Prospecting with Jeb Blount. And what's interesting about that book, and maybe we'll give some teasers about it, but give me a couple things that come to mind. So I know when you open the book, the first thing it says is that prospecting, and we'll use my version, prospecting stinks. Now get over it and start prospecting. So what are some kind of teaser dialogues or things that jump out from the book that could get some consumers excited about reading it?
Well, I mean, I think it works for, really any industry, and I think the best part is really book the appointment. It's you're on the call. Great. Are you you're not going to close someone on a phone call, right? I mean, it's really about booking the appointment. So it's like, step 1 through 9 is book the appointment, of those steps. Yeah.
And I've heard some people get worried about that, of feeling, well, hey, I'm in sales. Let me just break it to everyone listening to this. You're in sales no matter what you do. Right? You're selling your opinion if you're an attorney. You're selling your designs if you're an architect. Even if you're in some type of a faith or place of worship, you're selling that to your quote-unquote consumer. And the fun thing about real estate and what I've experienced is that we're helping serve them in what they already need. Right? It's fulfilling Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right? It's in the top 3 of, hey, people need a place to live. Share a little bit about, they call it disruptive language, right? What do they mean by that in the book when it's talking about when you're having a conversation with a consumer?
Taking a consumer down a different path and just saying, look, stop your normal way of thinking. Here's why we're different, right? And that allows you to do that by kind of disrupting the normal conversation that they're used to hearing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's think more about culture. What's a book that we've read together as a company that is about culture?
Oh, man. So many options, so many books. I would say a big one about, culture is going to be probably my favorite is probably Getting Unbusy. And really it's about like the culture of your day, and what that looks like, and how, we sometimes just in life run around with, like chickens with our heads cut off, and everything's on fire, everything's this and that. But when you really break it down, what are the most important things you can do every day that are going to, push your business forward?
Well, it's got to be hard for you. I mean, we've watched you grow as a family and really get enveloped in the business of real estate, which can be very time consuming. There's kind of no off switch, right? You've got twins and a son and balancing. You're probably working with at least 10 to 15 clients at a time. So how did you take that book and apply it in your life?
The most important thing was really just breaking down the day. So, literally taking it down to blocks. Like, what are the blocks that I have in place that I can, that I will do A, B, and C in? And, if A are the things I need to have done to push the business forward, if B is that prospecting time where I'm reaching out to, new folks that don't know me, if C is make sure I have in case there's fires time, right, to look at emails and to respond to things, and that was a big thing. I mean, my daughters are 9 and my son's 6, so they're starting to get back into kind of the sports swing now too. So kind of having that figured out, where we've got gymnastics here, we've got soccer there, and getting everyone where they need to be. So it's a lot, but blocking out the days and knowing here's what I'm doing A, B, and C, each day has really helped.
We love the perspective of culture and how it can be shaped or redefined by books that we bring in from outside. Energy Bus. I know we joke all the time about energy vampires.
Gotta stay away from them.
And how we don't want them within our culture. Top CEOs, top companies, when they're reviewed, it's interesting. People don't stay at a company because of money. Now, it's always in the top 3, but typically it's number 1 is who's your direct supervisor. Number 2 is what's the culture of the company. And Bruno, you've been with us for over 6 years. Can you kind of define to you personally what you see as the culture at the Nellis Group?
Definitely. I think that the biggest thing, and you've said it before, hungry, humble, smart, is something big that you preach all the time, and really just making sure that when you're here, you understand that, our greater good is serving what we're doing, right? If you're always focused on the money aspect, I mean, like you just mentioned, and you've got that commission breath, no one wants to work with you, right? It becomes a transaction, and that's not what we do, and that's not why I originally even got into real estate. For me, I've always loved the concept of home, and helping families find a refuge and a safe place for their families, right? A place where they can really call their own. And so that's always been something really cool. And so every family that I help, it's just something that kind of pushes that forward. And I think that's I don't take that lightly, and that's that's part of it as well, right? Like people that are if you're hungry and humble and like you want to just keep helping families and you're focusing on the greater good, that's when you're going to succeed in this business. That's when you're going to succeed here at the Nellis Group, because there have been times where people will come in and end up having the wrong mind frame, after we're trying to get them in, enveloped in our culture. And, we've kind of learned over the years sometimes that, you can't teach that. So that person, you can give them the knowledge they need, and they can pull from, the experience of the Nellis Group. I mean, being around since '83, as a company, you don't go from a family business of just, a handful of folks to, the company we are today without, really having a strong culture and really knowing what works here.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Book Club is we really focus on the greater good, the greater human, and how do we really provide that atmosphere for those that work with us, and as well as the consumers and the clients that come to us throughout the year. So tune in for our book club and what we're reviewing, what we're reading next, and we're excited to share with you our entire book list. You can go on to LegacyElevated/books to see what we're reading next.
Book club.
Today we're with Ron Florence, who's one of our Nellis Group ambassadors, or today we call them Nellis Group VIPs, and we wanted to talk about the book club within the Nellis Group and perhaps how it could even influence outside of our real estate company. Ron, tell me how you first heard about The One Word by Dan Britton.
Well, not surprising, following Facebook and James Nellis, that's where I heard of The One Word. I think we actually talked a little bit about it, and you and I kind of direct messaged back and forth, and you would not let me off the hook a couple of years ago, which is true to fashion. And I really had to think about it. So I did hear it from you, and I think we put it, I don't know if it was 3 years ago or 2 years ago, but after that interaction with you, I started The One Word, and that's a ritual every year now. So you got me on it.
I love it. Let me challenge you again live. Do you remember, you've done it for 2 years, do you remember what your word was the first year and now this year?
So my first year was perfect for 2020, and my word was peace. Wow. And I will tell you, for what was it, 2 months and 12 days, that word was working great. It couldn't have been any better. It was so peaceful. And then March 12th hit, and we had just sent 2 of our sons off to college for the first time that September. I had just transitioned businesses, but everything was really going well. And then with the challenges that we're seeing in society today with the pandemic, it was a very great year to try to stick to the one word of peace.
Wow, peace. And this year in 2021, what is it?
Yeah, so I learned from last year, and I got a little bit of start of it. And so in December, I started thinking of the word, and this year my word is perspective.
I love it. Love it. They say, be careful what you pray for. If you're reading the one word, be careful what you challenge yourself with, because there you have it. You're going to have to play out that word for the entire year. Today, we're so thankful for Ron coming out today. We're actually going to gift him with the Book of Joy. The fun thing about that was I said, Ron, do you want to read it or do you want to get the Audible? And You look at the size of it. It is a deep book. It's a fun book. It's about meaning. It's really about finding happiness in your life and in your work. And I'm excited that you get a chance to also read and listen to the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu.
Jane, I appreciate that gift. And I will tell you, this was my hesitation. I was wondering if my wife, Lori, called you. Because this has been her speech to me for I don't know how long, and especially through 2020. She's just a very balanced, very gifted person who is a constant accountability partner on trying to find the joy in every day. So I was actually a little afraid of carrying that book in. I think you guys might be in partnership and working on me. But no, thank you for that gift. That's very generous.
I love it. And you will never have a flourishing, great family life where I know you have twin boys and a third child, and you can never have the balance with work and life unless you have an amazing woman or partner working with you, and that's what you have with Lori.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us for the Legacy Elevated podcast, where we reveal the ways to impact the world and leave a legacy that empowers the next generation. Follow us at Legacy Elevated on YouTube and Instagram. And if you have a business that can inspire others, reach out to us today.